Hello everybody, this is Nino, and in this second video of mine, which is also the last from the philosophical ones, we shall discuss the question of what is intelligence. It is my aim to introduce you to my experiments regarding artificial intelligence, but I want that we have a clean and clear understanding of what the subject matter is about. Otherwise, no discussion will be possible. We will have no common axiom for any further consideration. I would like to avoid that. So let me tell you how I am defining intelligence. I am saying it is the general ability to reduce experiences of the present to experiences of the past. You're being challenged by some problem now, and you're looking at how shall this problem be solved according to what you know already. This entails two basic steps. First, the recognition of similarity of patterns of the present challenge to patterns of your past experience. And moreover, the proper continuation of this challenge towards a solution. These two steps are, in my opinion, the essential steps of behaving intelligently according to this definition. Let us first discuss a very ancient philosophical problem, the so-called mind-body problem. Its basic idea is how does stuff get in or out of you? How do perceptions enter your mind and how do actions exit your mind? Well, I have solved it in the following way, for my experiments at least. I'm saying a sensor is perceiving something from the outer world and it generates a thought. This thought can then be reasoned with. It is some sort of mathematical expression, some vector, whatever you call it. It is being generated by the sensors and suddenly enters the area of considerations, and the system can actually handle it then. Moreover, if a certain other thought appears, then the system is permanently on the look for such thoughts, and if it discovers one, it will automatically act it out by an actor and generate some action towards the outer world. So you might see a flower, and that will create some thought, and then you might generate the wish to pluck it, and you take the flower. Mind you, the mere wish of doing something, the imagination of doing it, is not yet immediately causing you to do that, and same as here. But a specific thought, which is really like take the flower, may immediately lead to action. There are thoughts which are like it, the pure fantasy of taking the flower, but they are not yet that specific thought which causes the action. It is also important to recognize that the perception must somehow be connected a priori to the action. If they are not connected somehow from the beginning, then your system will never be able to act. It will be able to reason with things, it will be able to do all kind of complex considerations based on the perceptions, but these perceptions will never ever be able to reach the actions, because by considering the perceptions you may generate more abstract thought, but you will never get down to concrete acts. Let's consider the 3 points following from this. First, an intelligent agent can operate only on what he perceives. Some people are telling you, yeah, but you're building a model of the world and whatever. In reality, you are only perceiving things and building your model of action based on your perceptions. You do not see the world, you see your perceptions. Secondly, as mentioned, perception and action must be connected ab initio, otherwise they will not be connected ever. That connection may be extended later on. You may start to find analogies, you may find other thoughts which may trigger an action, or a perception may generate other considerations. But unless these two are somehow connected from the beginning, you cannot do these analogical extensions of your initial connection and cannot act. The third thing is, don't judge the concept of intelligence according to your subjective human emotions. I have given you a definition of what I understand by intelligence, and I'm going to stick to this definition, namely the handling of challenges by past experience throughout this series of videos and in every experiment. So, to make it clear once again what is the real problem between perception and action, and what would happen if they are not connected. Let's say that you see a train racing towards you. You wouldn't be able to evade it. You would know what it will do with you. You will know that it is going to smash you to smithereens, but you will not be able to step a foot aside because you have no connection between seeing some danger and jumping, which you may have then later extended into seeing some potential danger and escaping. Unless there is some sort of primordial connection, no connection would be established later on. That's important because you will have to make up such connections. These are axioms of your artificially intelligent system. The most fundamental reasoning mechanism in the recognition of patterns, for instance, is analogy. You're saying basically that one thing is like another thing. And what does that really mean? It means that one thing has some properties and the other thing has them as well. You can say this is kind of square, this is kind of square as well. It's not really square, it's a rectangle. And this one has sharp corners, whereas this one has rounded corners. But they are kind of similar in some basic properties. So, some properties are the same. Some other properties are different, like for instance, look at the corners. But treating them in an analogous manner means that you will treat the different patterns as being the same. That already happens at the perception stage when you are handling imperfect perceptions. For instance, when you're looking at a bird, it will not exactly look as the bird in your imagination or thoughts, but you will know that this is kind of having these properties, so you should recognize it as a bird. Analogy is very important not only for reasoning, but also for recognition. And now we shall see how do you put analogy to use regarding, namely, the second mechanism of following up with some solution. Well, the basic mechanism is this. You're having some known you're having some new challenge, okay? New is this rectangle. You're having some known experience in the past. By analogy, you're saying that the new thing is like the old thing, and you know that the old thing had some certain solution, let's say this ellipsis. Then you're going to say that you're going to apply the known solution to the new challenge. I'm calling this the challenge-reply pair, the known experience which leads to a known behavior. And for me, this is the fundamental building block of intelligence. And your task when you are trying to do something intelligent is reduce the new things to the known things, find their consequences, and apply their consequences. Let me just mention one little detail. Some people will say, but you are actually also finding an analogous solution and not the same solution. I say, no, you are applying the same solution. If you say that you make up an analogous solution, then it means really that you are looking at patterns on a lower granularity level. And you are solving, in fact, those sub-patterns. And again, you are finding their solutions. Just by looking at finer patterns, you may generate a more finely fitting response. The mechanism, however, of reducing the new to the known and using its solution will remain the same. So, intelligence truly means answering challenge patterns with proper response patterns. Now I would like to make a little mentioning of the cause and effect issue, which many people seem so focused on. I am following here the Scottish philosopher David Hume, who mentioned that if one billiard ball hits another billiard ball, you really don't have any idea what is going to happen unless you have perceived it and know from experience that the second billiard ball is gonna move. But there is nothing you can do about it, no sentence you can say about it without ever having perceived it. So in reality, there is no cause and effect. And following this, there are no aims. In fact, everything which you are observing follows from your perceptions. Therefore, you can say that the axioms of all reasoning lie in pattern perceptions alone, and possible instincts and reflexes, in particular for connecting input to output, that is perception to action. But it's really nothing more than that. There is no cause and effect a priori. There is only observation. This is even true about mathematical theories, which is what, by the way, Kant criticized regarding Hume, because you are having there a very strict system of patterns, yes, and they are not normally contravened, yes, but they too follow simply patterns of behavior from perceiving certain mathematical axioms. You can reduce it all to that. This has one actually great advantage. Many artificially intelligent systems ultimately fail because people try to make up a cause and effect network, but they can't really find proper causes. And in this they fail because they cannot deduce good effects. I'm saying, forget about causes, forget about the model of the world, only recognize how can you correlate pattern perceptions of the past. So this is the important point. An intelligent agent, natural or artificial, never ever sees the world. He only sees the signals of his sensors. And you should be aware of the limitations of such sensors. For instance, is this flower white? Well, many flowers which you as a human see as white are actually not white at all in other spectrums of light. And thereby they attract insects. They look very fascinating, but to you they look white. This is because your sensors show them as white. So therefore, your choice of sensors determines both the type of information which is going to appear in your thoughts, as well as the granularity level. And you cannot judge an intelligence based on the limitations of its patterns which it can perceive. I am saying that because I have really seen people judge chatbots by their inability to recognize shapes. That's as if you would declare that blind people are dumb. This is nonsense. They just don't have a sensor for a type of information, but it doesn't mean that they are generally unable to intelligently respond to challenges. And that brings us to another issue regarding intelligence in general. Many people are looking at intelligence from a highly anthropocentric perspective. But a machine intelligence might be very different from a human intelligence, just as a human intelligence is different from the intelligence of a swarm of bees. So, a system, an entity, may reason intelligently, but not in a human style at all. That again means that if you are sticking to the intelligence definition I told you in the beginning, you can create an entity with many possible approaches. Statistical, neural nets, symbolic approaches, my fragmentation sets, which I'm going to show you in future videos, and even predicate logic based on patterns. You must recognize it would be based on patterns, not on causes. Therefore, when you are judging an artificial intelligence, and in particular those which I'm going to show you in my experiments, kindly consider its designs. They have their weaknesses, yes, but I don't want to hear anything along the lines of, yes, but it does not work the way I would work. I don't care how you would work. I care whether it is able to solve problems by experiences, and that is all I care about. For me, that is intelligent. So keep in mind, when you're judging an intelligence, what can it perceive by sensors? What actions are possible for that artificial intelligence? Like a chatbot obviously cannot walk. You cannot judge it by that. And what processing methodology is finally used? That is, in fact, the essential kernel of intelligence in it. So you're actually asking two questions, a qualitative one. Does it respond to new challenges based on past experiences? If it does not, then that entity is not intelligent. We don't need to discuss it further. It is mechanical, it might be matching well, it might be a very fancy program, but it's not actually intelligent, not according to my definition. Moreover, a quantitative aspect, once you have positively answered the first question, how well does it match present patterns? How well does it solve problems? To give you an example of such a quantitative consideration, if you say to the system A, B, C, D, and it answers with E, F, G, H, then its behavior will be more intelligent than if it just answers E. Why? Because it would then take into account not only the pattern that a D is followed by an E, but it would also take into account that A, B, C, D are 4 elements, and it also answers you with 4 elements. And so far you can judge whether a system is more intelligent than another system. It's really just about this, answering of challenges. It has nothing to do with conscience. Conscience, or the sense of self, is actually not necessary for an intelligence at all. I believe conscience is simply the emergent correlation of pattern sentiments. If you see a bright light, taste sweet honey, the warmth of fire, or the pain of a flame, then it all is something circling around you. And while this you in the beginning doesn't even exist, the correlation of all of those things finally creates that you. That is how you gain some sort of conscience. But conscience is really only a correlation. It is, in my definition, not at all pertaining to intelligence, and neither at all pertaining to general intelligence, as it is unimportant for the solving of problems from experience. You don't need conscience for that. So, let's for instance look at a swarm of bees. It has no conscience whatsoever. It does solve its problems in a very general way, though. It does find new sources of food from past experience about food sources. Some bees told you where there is food and you sent out the other bees. The swarm does fend off its enemies based on the experience of the individual bee, like it will send out signals, hey, I'm badly beaten up, and then other bees will come and kind of kill the intruder. But it has no conscience, and, which is also funny, it does not have any sort of free will. You know, there's nobody to want anything, so you can't really talk about the liberty of will. In fact, such a system really applies an automatic reasoning, an automatic pattern evaluation. It sees a challenge, it tries to match it to experience, and to find a solution. I know this all looks very foreign to you, and I'm really sorry for that. But regarding artificial intelligence, please think of it that way. We conquered the sea, but not like the fishes. And we conquered the air, however, not like the birds. So if we conquer the mind, if we create a machine mind, it might be quite not the same as what you naturally experience. I believe therein might lie the greatest irony. It might be quite possible to create an artificial intelligence which is intelligent but not like you. So that's it for this video. You can find my theory and a lot more on my website on https://sites.google.com/site/logical triangulation. And I kindly thank you for watching. I would be happy if you tune into my other videos as well, and I wish you a very pleasant day. Goodbye for now.